Hi guys, Chris here, back with another video. So today's video, guys, I'm going to be responding to a subscriber question from a lady called Petra in Hungary, and she just has a few questions around, how long should you wait after injecting insulin before you should eat, and also she has some questions on carb counting, which I'm going to answer for her. But first of all, guys, what I'm going to do is I'll show you some footage of the food that I've had today, and I'll also show you my chronometer, and I'll also show you my tea tonight and just give you a breakdown if you might find that interesting. So this was my breakfast here, guys. So I had sweet potato, red bell peppers, chicory, spinach, pak choy, black pepper, and salt, and red wine vinegar. So this meal, guys, was my dinner, or my lunch. So I had purple sweet potatoes, yellow bell peppers, chicory, spinach, pak choy again, black pepper. I added some rosemary, a few herbs, some salt, black pepper. The little red stuff is kind of like a Cajun type sage, McCormick's flavouring. Really, really nice. So guys, this is my tea tonight. So here I have red lentils with basmati rice, turmeric to give it that nice yellow colour. I also have, which you might not be able to quite see, or let's see, yes you can, I've got green peas, I have sweet corn, I've got lots of kale in there. I also have black pepper, as you can see, nutritional yeast, red wine vinegar for insulin sensitivity, and I'll also have some salt on there as well. So this is my chronometer, guys, as you can see. So I start off the day with B12, which you didn't see. I then had, water. I had my breakfast, which you did see. I had 2 medjool dates, which you didn't see. I then had my lunch. When I came home after my lunch, I had some bread, I had some almonds, and I had a few more bits of bread. I generally do not eat bread because I don't think it's, that amazing. It's processed and what have you. It has certain things added to it, possibly. But I had some poppy seed bread, and I just thought I'd have a bit. I then had my tea, which you did see. So I then have eaten 2,239 calories today, as you can see. My BMR is about 1,776. I haven't done any exercise today, I'm afraid. My macronutrient breakdown, so I had 79.1% calories coming from carbs, 9.4% from fat, and 11.5% from protein. Coming down to my vitamins and minerals, you can see that I got all of the vitamins that I need on a high carb, low fat diet, no problem. And as you can see, I smashed most of these targets, like my vitamin K, my vitamin C, my vitamin A, my folate, all of these I've smashed. My vitamin E, it's only 2% off, that's okay. You don't have to hit these every single day, you don't have to exceed these every single day. All of these have a margin of error in safety in them, so it's okay. Come down to my minerals. Got all the calcium I need on a high carb, low fat diet, no problem there. Got all the iron that I need, got all the magnesium and manganese, etc. No deficiencies there. Let's come along to my lipids. So I got all of the essential fatty acids that I need on a high carb, low fat vegan diet just by adding some flaxseed, as you can see. So I got all my omega-3 from flaxseed very easily. I got my omega-6 predominantly from almonds and Brazil nuts. Let's come down to my protein. Got all of the protein that I need as well. No deficiencies there on a high carb, low fat vegan diet. So we'll get into the main section of the video now, guys. So we're going to now look at Petra's question. So she has a number of different questions here. We're going to break them down, and I'll respond to it, section by section. So Petra says, "Hi Chris, can I have a few questions?" Yes, you can. If you ever have questions, let me know in the comments below. I will always respond. And this is really sort of the first video I've done in response to someone's, a subscriber's question. So if you'd like to see, more videos like this, please give it a like. I've done Q&As before, but not, videos purely responding to, single comments. So she says, "Do you really wait half an hour between NovaRapid and eating?" So what she means is that, do I really wait half an hour after injecting my insulin to then eat? And she continues, "Isn't it supposed to be an ultra fast acting insulin? I was told to inject myself with NovaRapid right before eating in order to avoid hypo." So what she's asking there is, do I really wait half an hour is the first one. So yes, if I can. So the reason why I personally like to wait after injecting insulin is because it takes a while to get into my system. Yes, the insulin is fast acting, but it's only fast acting when it's in the actual blood there ready to take sugar into the cell. When it's in the fat, it takes a while to basically get in there. So for me, I'm currently the lightest I've ever been, thank you to Dr. John McDougall and the starch solution. So I weigh 166.4 pounds at the moment, roughly around that 166 mark. I'm the lightest I've been other than when I was very severely ill. But I still have quite a bit of fat to my body, so really, I've got a bit of fat around my stomach, around my belly area where I inject, and because of that, you can, I think, in my opinion, take a while longer for the insulin to get into my bloodstream. Now then, you have to realise there are a number of different factors at play when it comes to your insulin and how effective it is at bringing sugar into the cell. So obviously, there's how long you wait before you eat after injecting it. There's how much fat have you had that day, how much fat have you had in the preceding days. For example, at the weekend, I was a little bit more insulin resistant because on Saturday I had some vegan chocolate, which is not really healthy. I predominantly eat whole food, but every now and then I will eat, some vegan chocolate. And I have to admit, I probably shouldn't do, because I do notice it having, quite often an effect on my blood sugars. If I eat it in large amounts, like 30 grams of chocolate, for example, if I just eat, a small bit, say at the end of the day, it's not that bad. But yeah, so you need to realise that there are different variables at play. So there's how much fat is there around where you're injecting the actual insulin, how much fat have you eaten the previous days, has it been very low fat, have you eaten a bit more fat, have you had some processed junk food, how active are you. For example, I work in an office all day, sat at a desk. Sadly, I can't always get out and exercise because of rain. It's not always safe to cycle in the rain. So really, it can there are loads of different factors here at play. So what you need to do is you need to do what's best for you, and the only way you can really determine what's best for you is to experiment on yourself. Now, when I say experiment on yourself, now I mean it in a safe way. So it's always important that once you have like the basics, so high carb, low fat, whole food, vegan and plant based, what you can then do is once you've had the fundamentals, pinned down, you can then go away and experiment on yourself a little bit and analyze and see what happens. So what I would say to you, Petra, is what happens with your blood sugars when you inject and then eat straight away? If you were to inject and then wait half an hour, would you actually get a hypo? If you inject and then eat straight away, are your blood sugars fine? Do you see a situation where you inject and then you eat straight away and your blood sugars just have let's say a gradual rise, to let's say 7 or 8 millimoles, and then they just come down like that? Or is it a case that you eat and then what happens is straight away it just has a massive spike and then takes a while to come down? So what you need to do is you just need to have a look at that and try and think about the different variables. So for me, I can sometimes inject insulin and then I'll notice it working in my blood very quickly. I've actually had times where I've injected insulin and it hasn't had any effect whatsoever on my blood sugars for over an hour. So for me, in the mornings, I tend to be more insulin resistant, and the reason why is at night time, our bodies burn more fat. In addition to that, because of a hormone called cortisol, which is produced in the morning, that can make you a bit more insulin resistant as well. So for me, in the mornings, I notice that my blood sugars aren't the best. They're definitely not the best compared to the afternoon and the evening for me. So what I would say is, just consider those different factors and, work out what's best for you. You're different to me. Your exercise levels might be different. You may find you're not that insulin resistant in the morning. So just go away and play. And I hope that makes sense. And if you have any more questions on that one, let me know. Petra's next question is, and another thing, can you explain this carb counting, please? I've heard you talk about it, but I honestly have never been told about this before. So there's only one way, in my opinion, that you should count carbs. And if you want to count carbs, it's because you're trying to be objective. The only way you're going to be objective is with numbers. If you don't have numbers, you're not being objective. It's as simple as that. So if you want to calculate your blood sugars perfectly, you need to weigh all your food, you need to record it, and you need to log it on Chronometer. You know, I have to admit, I can eyeball my food. You know, I can look at most of my food and, you know, guess most of the time what my carbs are, and sometimes I've done that as, you know, just for fun, and I've even come within, you know, 2 or 3 carbs sometimes. I mean, something crazy like that. But, you know, it's a bit sketchy doing it that way. So the way I always recommend it is weigh all your food, record it, log it on Chronometer, and then the way you always determine the carbohydrates that actually need insulin is total carbs minus fructose minus fiber. So the reason why is that not all the carbohydrates that we eat actually need insulin. So if you look at fiber, for example, fiber is something that is passed out of our bodies. It's never absorbed into the bloodstream, and really it's because of the chemical structure of fiber as a carbohydrate. It basically means that the stomach acid can't break it down and it can't be absorbed. So fiber cannot be absorbed by the body, and therefore it does not need insulin, and you should remove it from the equation, especially if you're eating a high carb vegan diet. Next of all, guys, fructose. So fructose is a type of sugar predominantly found in fruit, but you can also find it in you know, vegetables like sweet potato in small amounts. And with fructose, what happens is it doesn't actually need insulin. What happens is it is absorbed into the body, unlike the fiber, but the fructose is actually metabolized by the liver. What that means is the liver essentially absorbs the fructose from the bloodstream and then stores it in the liver, and then if it needs to, it will then basically release the fructose back into the bloodstream in the form of glucose or glycogen. So what you always have to do is, if you want to get the accurate amount of carbohydrates which require insulin, it's always total carbs minus fiber minus fructose. It's as simple as that. And what we can do is we can go into my Chronometer and we can have a look. So this is my Chronometer here, guys. So let's just take an example. So let's have a look at my breakfast this morning, which I had, which was the sweet potatoes, the bell peppers, and the chicory and what have you. So what you can do is, guys, when you're on Chronometer, what you can do is you can literally just click on breakfast, and then what it will then do is, guys, it will basically highlight all of your foods, and then it will show you only the breakdown for that meal. So as you can see down here, guys, we have the carbohydrate section. So we can see the total carbs was 81 grams of carbohydrates. There was 18.5 grams of fiber, and then there was 5.2 grams of fructose. So as you can see there, guys, there is, so the way to always do it is Chronometer basically does half of it for you. So Chronometer actually gives you a calculation where it gives you net carbs. So it gives you your total carbs minus your fructose, minus your fiber, sorry, equals your net carbs. So as you can see, it's all it does is 81 minus 18.5 equals 62.5. So that's how it does it. And then the next step simply is to subtract 5.2 to get the 57.3 is the exact amount of, you know, carbohydrates that need insulin. And if you're eating fruit like bananas or dates, you know, you need to perhaps do that if it's in large amounts. So let's come up and let's have a look at dates. So if you come up here, guys, and have a look at dates, as you can see, dates have 15 grams of carbs. One date has 15 grams of carbs, has 1.3 grams of fiber, and then has 6.4 grams of fructose. So if you again just do that calculation, so 13.7 minus 6.4, so even though there's 15 grams of carbohydrates in a day, there's only roughly about 50% of that needs insulin. So if you were to inject insulin based upon the entire amount, you're risking you know, a hyper essentially. So that's basically how that works, guys. So it's always you know, total carbs minus fiber minus fructose equals net carbs, which is the amount of carbohydrates that you eat that needs insulin. It definitely works for me. And if you're going to go high carb vegan, if you want to be as accurate as possible, if you want to be 100% objective as possible, that's how you do it. Now then, some people do struggle with that because they're used to, you know, just kind of like doing it roughly based upon the total carbs, but you basically have to adjust for that, and you know, it's quite easy. So the way to work it out is normally is go away and look at, you know, what the actual net carbs would be based upon what you would normally inject. So let's say if you normally, you know, have, let's say 10 units of insulin for 100 grams of carbs, total 100 grams total carbs, you would then work out the net carbs, then divide that by the NovaRapid or the insulin you're using to get an actual, correct insulin to carbohydrate ratio. And that's how I would do it, and that's how I've helped other people on YouTube adjust their ratios. So it feels a bit weird at first, perhaps trying to calculate it that way, but it does work. That using that calculation, it's going to reduce the risk of you getting a hypoglycemic attack, basically. So let's have a look at this next section. So she just says, I've been eating high carb, low fat, mostly whole food for 2 weeks now. My blood sugar average for this period was 6.8. I'm pretty happy with this result so far, as it was usually around 7 to 8 before. I'm getting better at this whole new lifestyle. Thank you for helping me out and inspiring everybody with your amazing results. Cheers from Hungary. So that's okay, Petra. So you can see, Petra's doing really well on a high carb, low fat, mostly whole food diet. So I'm not sure if she used the word vegan there, but I imagine she probably is doing it, or she's doing mostly vegan. And what I'd say to Petra is, diabetes is all about marginal gains. So you want to obviously go high, vegan, go whole food. Get rid of all the processed junk food, go high carb, low fat, and it's like a pyramid. The more things you do, the more you're building towards that point where you'll get the best blood sugars you can do. So what I'd say to Petra is, as a diabetic, focus on eating whole food, high carb, low fat, no processed junk food, no oils, no vegan chocolate. Keep all of that to a minimum as much as you possibly can. Weigh and record all your food. If you have bananas, for example, you had 2 bananas, you don't need to weigh. You could just put 2 small bananas. But for everything else, like rice, potatoes, just weigh it, record it, log it. Consider using vinegar. Vinegar definitely improves my blood sugars, because I think it increases the rate at which glucose is able to leave the blood, essentially. So I definitely notice a difference with that. So try and add vinegar to each meal if you can. Try and move your body every single day. And just learn to sort of analyze and look at your blood sugars, be objective, and eventually you'll get the best blood sugars you possibly can do. So you're averaging about 6.8 millimoles at the moment, which is pretty good, and I'd say you're pretty much getting there. So yeah, let's look at it this way. An average non-diabetic has average blood sugars of about 5.8 millimole. So you're only 1 millimole away from an average non-diabetic. So you're doing really well. I've had mine down to about 5.9 millimole before. It will change, especially throughout the seasons and throughout life. Your activities levels change. You have stress in your life. You can have kids. You can have all these different things. So we don't go through life with this perfect blood sugars all the time. It doesn't work that way. It's day to day. But if you follow my advice and you build upon that, look at Dr. John McDougall, Dr. Neil Bernard, Dr. Michael Greger, listen to what they have to say. They're the experts in this field. Consider what they have to say, and build upon what I'm giving you, build upon what you've already learned, and long term you'll definitely be one of the best diabetics out there. My insulin to carb ratio on average is 1 to 35. I can mess it up sometimes. For example, over the weekend my insulin stopped working properly because I'd been using it that long, and it got to the stage where it basically been rendered inert, because as a high carb, low fat vegan, I don't need that much insulin anymore, and what that did is that messed my blood sugars up, because they started getting higher because the insulin wasn't working properly, and it took me a few days to kind of get back on top of it. So you'll never be perfect, but what you can do is you can be the best that you can be. So I hope that was useful. I should probably try and get a bit better at doing these response videos and try and get a bit shorter. But I hope you found it useful anyway. And Petra, if you're watching, I hope you're doing really well. Any questions, let me know. I'll help you however I can. Until next time, God bless to you, Petra, and everyone else watching. If you ever need any help, remember and this is everyone, just message me or put in the comments. I'll always do what I can. I'm not perfect, and I don't know everything. Only a fool knows everything. But always try and help people how I can. So until next time, God bless as always, and remember, always go high carb, low fat, low protein, high fiber, whole food, plant-based, vegan. Bye bye, guys. lots of kale in there. I also have black pepper, as you can see, nutritional yeast, red wine vinegar for insulin sensitivity, and I'll also have some salt on there as well. So this is my chronometer, guys, as you can see. So I started off the day with B12, which you didn't see. I then had, water. I had my breakfast, which you did see. I had 2 medjool dates, which you didn't see. I then had my lunch. When I came home after my lunch, I had some bread, I had some almonds, and I had a few more bits of bread. I generally do not eat bread because I don't think it's, that amazing. It's processed and what have you. It has certain things added to it, possibly. But I had some poppy seed bread, and I just thought I'd have a bit. I then had my tea, which you did see. So I then have eaten black pepper and salt and red wine vinegar. So this meal, guys, was my dinner or my lunch. So I had purple sweet potatoes, yellow bell peppers, chicory, spinach, pak choy again, black pepper. I added some rosemary, a few herbs, some salt, black pepper. The little red stuff is kind of like a Cajun type sage, McCormick's flavouring. Really, really nice. So guys, this is my tea tonight. So here I have red lentils with basmati rice, turmeric to give it that nice yellow colour. I also have, which you might not be able to quite see, or let's see, yes you can, I've got green peas, I have sweet corn, I've got... Hi guys, Chris here, back with another video. So today's video, guys, I'm going to be responding to a subscriber question from a lady called Petra in Hungary, and she just has a few questions around how long should you wait after injecting insulin before you should eat, and also she has some questions on carb counting, which I'm going to answer for her. But first of all, guys, what I'm going to do is I'll show you some footage of the food that I've had today, and I'll also show you my chronometer, and I'll also show you my tea tonight, and just give you a breakdown if you might find that interesting. So this was my breakfast here, guys. So I had sweet potato, red bell peppers, chicory, spinach, pak choy. Have a margin of error in safety in them, so it's okay. Come down to my minerals. Got all the calcium I need on a high carb, low fat diet, no problem there. Got all the iron that I need, got all the magnesium and manganese, etc. No deficiencies there. Let's come along to my lipids. So I got all of the essential fatty acids that I need on a high carb, low fat vegan diet, just by adding some flaxseed, as you can see. So I got all my omega-3 from flaxseed very easily. I got my omega-6 predominantly from almonds and Brazil nuts. Let's come down to my protein. Got all of the protein that I need as well. No deficiencies there on a high carb, low fat vegan diet. So we'll get into the main section. In 2,239 calories today, as you can see. My BMR is about 1,776. I haven't done any exercise today, I'm afraid. My macronutrient breakdown, so I had 79.1% calories coming from carbs, 9.4% from fat, and 11.5% from protein. Coming down to my vitamins and minerals, you can see that I got all of the vitamins that I need on a high carb, low fat diet, no problem. And as you can see, I smashed most of these targets, like my vitamin K, my vitamin C, my vitamin A, my folate, all of these I've smashed. My vitamin E, it's only 2% off, that's okay. You don't have to hit these every single day, you don't have to exceed these every single day. All of these